to question number 2. Question here is, how many of each animal did Noah put on the ark? How many of the clean? How many of unclean? Now, last week, if you've done this, you probably jotted it down. You've got an idea of what it is. So, here's the answer to that. It was 7 clean animals that God told Noah put on the ark. There was 2 of the unclean of each species, the male and female, to put them on the ark. You see, a lot of folks don't understand why God created the unclean. He didn't create them for food. He created them for vacuum cleaners, to eat the scour of the land or the water. That's like I said before. When fish die, do you think they go to fish heaven or somebody buries them? Everything in the ocean, everything in the rivers and lakes, all those fish don't live forever, folks. They die. And the rotten flesh goes to the bottom. Here comes the suckerfish and the catfish, and that's what they're made for, is to eat that scum. And whatever their body is made of is from the scum. Whereas you've got your bass and others, they eat clean fish. They eat the lively stuff. But not those others. That's why they're classified as unclean. Same way with the vultures. I wouldn't want to eat an old vulture I've seen riding down the road, and there'd be a dead deer, been there a week or two. He got his head stuck all the way in his carcass, eating it. I wouldn't want to eat that unclean animal because it's eating all kind of scum, all kind of germs, all kind of toxic. And that's what they were made for, but not for food. None of the unclean were made for food. God told him to put 7 of the clean on there, but 2 of the unclean. Now, let's move on and look at the scripture text with this. In Genesis 7, in verse 2 and verse 8, of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by 7s, the male and his female. And of the beasts that are not clean, by 2, male and female. Verse 8, of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls and of everything that creeps upon the earth. So we see here God had instructed him to take the 7. What was the 7 for? Can you figure it out real quick? It was for food. It was so they could eat while they were there 150 days at least minimum during that time. And no doubt they probably ate some after they ate in the boat after it landed on top of the hill there. After all, there was no other animals out there. I mean, when the floods took it, it killed all the sheep and the cattle that was left on the land. So he had 7 clean. He was allowed to eat some of the clean to survive. And then they were put loose to reproduce, same way with the unclean. If he would have ate 1 swine, there would have been no swine because he just got through eating one of them that takes the 2 to produce. So therefore you wouldn't have the unclean animals. They were put on this planet to eat the scour of the land and the filth of the land, and they were never made for food. If you catch that, you'll bypass your minister that's teaching you false doctrine. And that's what God told Noah to do. And you say, well, you just think about it. God said, take 7 clean, take 2 unclean. Could you see Noah scratching his head? Gee whiz, what's he talking about? What's clean? What's unclean? Somehow he already knew it, didn't he? He got it from Adam, as Adam talked with God in the cool of the day, before Adam committed a sin. God communicated with him. He named the animals. He knew what was clean and unclean. That was passed on down through generations. Now, let me real quickly tell you that Adam knew the lineage all the way down to Lamech, which is Noah's daddy. Noah, Lamech and Adam and everybody in between had talked to each other, had communicated to one another. As a matter of fact, Adam and Lamech were on this earth 56 years together. And that was Noah's daddy. Then you go down to Noah. Noah knew Enos. You had Adam, you had Seth, then you had Enos. Well, Noah was alive, and matter of fact, for 84 years, Noah had the opportunity to verbally talk with Enos about his daddy and his granddaddy. All of that information was passed down through those generations. Noah did not meet Adam, he did not meet Seth, nor did he get to meet Enoch, because Enoch was translated. Now, When you comprehend that understanding about clean and unclean was passed on from Adam to Noah, and then later it was instituted into the Sinai covenant. And it wasn't voided in that respect. Matter of fact, the only thing the new covenant does is take the laws of God and write them in your heart, whereas prior they were on parchment or stone. So that's what the new covenant is supposed to be doing for everybody, but it's not working for some folk because they're being deceived by the deceivers that wax worse and worse. Matter of fact, it goes right back to the mother of harlots, the Roman RCC, and then all their daughters that branched out from her, these denominations. You sit in their church every Sunday. That's where you're getting your false doctrine. Now, you don't believe that because your mom and daddy sat there and your grandpa and grandma, but that's a fact. Now, those that do come to that knowledge, God said, come out of her, my people, which means forsake her false doctrines.